Oh my goodness, people are awake. Awake here. Well, you need to get some sleep. Good day. Australia, I assume? I'm still on European time. Hello, Paris. Paris, I almost got to visit you, but the plane didn't work. I ended up sitting on the tarmac in Heathrow the entire day. Well, not the entire day, but too long to go to Paris. You're gay for me? Pundit Andrew, you are always awake. Do you ever sleep? Good morning, everybody. Holy cow. I didn't think anybody would be on this Periscope. Have I ever played squash? A couple times. I didn't care for it. You got your mom reading. Okay, thanks. Early risers. Haven't slept yet? Well, some of you need to go to sleep. So I got up this morning to see if I could draw a comic, and it would really help me if you had some ideas. So tell me what's been bothering you from work. And the rule is, it can't be about food or coffee, and it can't be about any physical object like a printer, and it can't be about a bathroom. So it can't be about food, physical objects, or bathrooms. So if you have anything that bothers you about the Christmas party sort of once a year, the boss who never responds to email messages, I've done that one a few times. The boss using an offensive racial term. Yeah, I can't really do racial jokes, even if I'm on the right side of it. You can't do racial jokes in the comics. Smear campaigns. Livefire. Hello, Livefire. Have I gotten mad yet? I have not. Forced not to flirt with a hug. Oh my God. No bathroom stuff. Slack rather than email. Yeah, not sure everybody understands that one though. Coworker arguing with kids on the phone. Boss sells software before it's built. I've done that comic. Cost reduction with vendors. That would actually might be good. I think I've been in that situation where somebody has a great idea that they're going to reduce costs, but really all they're doing is they're going to go to their vendors and ask their vendors to reduce their prices, and the vendors look at them and say, "What are you smoking? We already negotiated this once." I think I will do that one though. Cost reduction with vendors. The Clinton trolls came after you too. It's been a blocking fest. Trump is up in the polls. I don't believe that. Can't see me on my Twitter feed. Yeah, if I'm to believe what everybody's telling me, Twitter has decided that they will not show my tweets to everyone. The victims are frauds. All of them? You think they're all frauds? LA Daybreak poll. Yeah, the ideas need to be smaller. Like, what's actually bothering you that you don't think anybody else has a bother with? You know, who's your weirdest coworker? tell me, tell me in one sentence, the dominant trait of your worst coworker. Yeah, let's keep it out of the politics for a minute. Stomach growler. That's me. I'm a stomach growler. You know, whispers with lisp, ass kisser, speaks with his eyes closed. Huh. Sniffs too much. You guys only want to talk about politics today, I can tell. Too much proof. Oh, Jesus. Won't stop interrupting. It's hard to do jokes about interrupters. Yeah. How about, what's the opposite of a interrupter? The opposite of an interrupter would be, yeah, nothing about food or smells. See how all the, if you came in late, I said nothing about food, because if I don't tell you that, all the suggestions will be about food and toilets. That's all people can think of. I guess that's why I get overpaid, because I can manage to think of jokes that don't have to do with food or toilets. He's finding himself. Munchausen by proxy syndrome. That's funny. Yeah, you wouldn't be asking us. If you could do that, I wouldn't be asking you. Hums all the time. I do that. Apparently, I'm a serial hummer. I do it between thoughts. I just go. You have a woman who hides a small dog in her purse? Debbie Downer. Stuff breaks down. Headphones and humming. Yeah. So humming seems to be a big one, huh? The person who over decorates. I don't want to do that one just because I don't want to draw all the little decorations. Nail clipping I've done. It's the most common suggestion, actually, nail clipping. Offshore guys never reachable. I've done that one. Sales guy with no ethics. Thinks all diminishing returns are worth getting. Yeah. People on social media. Smoke breaks, stop matrix printers. What? Deaf sales guy. Take shoes off in office. Passive aggressive. Don't have any thoughts on Trudeau. Conspiracy theorists. Stealing conference room as office. Forced healthy habits and exercise. I'll talk more about Dale Carnegie another time. The humble bragger. Do I read Vox Day? Not unless somebody forwards it to me. Boss. Overhearing a great idea and going to your boss first. Oh, front running a good idea. That's a good one. running a good idea to the boss. Use bad analogies. Yeah, I should do one on bad analogies. That might be the one I'll do. The new hire is a chess master. There's nothing good about that. Download illegal software. What about people who use the stick drives? What do you call those? The flash drives? Which, as you know, are a security problem. Toppers, rumor, company moving to Mexico. It takes offense at everything. I like that one. Takes offense. I have a character that fits that. Tina the Decorator. She would take offense at everything. Thumb drive, yeah, thumb drive. What's the question? Oh, I'm asking people for workplace suggestions for a Dilbert cartoon. And it can't be about bathrooms or food or physical objects. Thermostat, I've done that one. People talk too loud. Speaks in acronyms. To the new guy. All right, investigating a paper cut. I actually have 2 paper cuts on my fingers right now. How weird is that? It's bothering me crazy. It's driving me crazy. Artist in residence. Is that real? Dangerous. Jesus, it's hard to read all these. You haven't gone to sleep yet? Well, you should. Visit from headquarters. No, nothing about food. Bitcoin. Nothing about bathrooms. Nothing about food or bathrooms. Yeah, watch how many times I could say that, and still a solid 30% of all these ideas will be about food or bathrooms. It's always been like that. And holidays, the most obvious things. Farts is bathroom joke. Right, pretty soon there'll be a food joke, because for some reason, eating food in bathrooms, I know that's a joke, but please, more about it in depth. Why not food and bathrooms? Because that's what people who are not professionals write about. We said this before, but if you watch a TV show where there's a comedy and they make a joke about food, it's like, who took the last donut kind of food? That's a non-sweeps month. It means it's the month that they're not looking at their ratings for advertising reasons. So they hire the bad writers to write the food jokes and the bathroom jokes. The overlong emails. Computers catching on fire. Oh yeah, exploding phones. I'm definitely going to do something about exploding phones. Dilbert becomes Dilbert too. That is pretty funny. What's wrong with my kidneys or pancreas? Nothing I know of. Do I look sick? Dilbert's girlfriend visits, eating in the bathroom. Okay, let me state that once I've told you that there's nothing funny about food or bathroom jokes, it's sort of doubly not funny when you cleverly say, "How about eating food in the bathroom?" You're really running in the wrong direction there. Because security knew them. Pencils at the ceiling, yeah. Yoga, sexual harassment. Male staff all decide to become alpha. I think I will do something about a beta male. I'm sure I'll get in trouble for that. Social media at work, I've done that. A lot of yoga suggestions. I've done yoga jokes. Hot girlfriend neighbor. How can I relate to that? Talk about Parkinson's? No, let's not. See, I did it again. I told you I was one of those people who hums for no reason. Sometimes I just go. I don't know why. I've always done it. I think Wally could be one of those men going their own way types. Humming is gay. Okay. Does not speak good English. Volunteers to fly to Mars. Yeah, that's interesting. How long is a Mars mission? Because that's pretty funny, actually. Is a Mars mission like a year or 3 years or something? 2 years? 2 years there or 6 months? 6 months there? Everybody's got a different idea. 2 years total. Okay, I'll use 2 years. It's forever because you die horribly. Ken Bone. Mars mission is for life. Organizing the boss's birthday party. Man. Business flight canceled. More efficient keyboards. Yeah, it's all about stuff. Wally was Ashok the intern was a Uber driver. Stuck on tarmac? Yeah, that would be me. Inside a simulation, which we are. Very funny Periscope today. I don't think it is. Dilbert opens the wrong door. Oh, the trip changed me. No, you know what changed? This whole Trump stuff became no fun anymore. For me, anyway. It might still be fun for you. So let me tell you my feelings about that. I don't know who did what behind closed doors. If you ask me how likely is it that a dozen different women would all have, detailed stories of being groped by Trump in similar ways after he's admitted on tape that he does exactly that kind of stuff. If you're trying to convince me that all of those are false, I don't think we're living on the same planet anymore, because the odds of that are very low. Now, it's still possible. It's totally possible, because at least a few of those women seem to have some ties to either Clinton or to conflicts with Trump before. So there's definitely some sketchiness in there. And as I said in my blog, you can assume that 50% of everything you hear about celebrities is just false. And I base that on my own experience. About half of all the things I'm accused of, about half of what people generally think about me, are actually based on nothing. Something taken out of context or some misunderstanding. And there's a general feeling on the internet that I hate women, I think. And I don't even know anybody who hates women. Is that even a thing? I mean, do even gay men hate women? Does anybody hate women? Honestly, I don't even know if that's a thing. I've never even met anybody who hated women. But apparently I'm the one person in the universe who does, according to the internet. Yeah, in fact, if you look at the organization of my life, it's almost entirely spent in service to women, whether directly or indirectly. I'm either making money that women spend, family members or other people, or I'm making huge tax payments, which primarily go to help women and children. So my entire if you look at my charities, even they're skewed toward domestic abuse purposes. If you look at the things I've spent my time on, I've spent a lot of time getting rid of people's stalkers and taking care of problems for women. A lot of those problems are caused by men. I'm involved in that all the time. In fact, I don't think I've ever gone a year without actively working to get rid of somebody's stalker or to help some various women in need. But what do I get? Just go on the internet and somebody will tell you that I hate women because of something they saw taken out of context one day. So this gets back to Trump. And while we always assumed that Trump was doing things that, we shouldn't be seeing or we shouldn't want to hear about, actually hearing it on the tape and then seeing all the people come forward with their specific stories, it just makes it so creepy and icky that he doesn't really have a chance of winning at this point, unless some gigantic thing changes, like there's some big health problem for Hillary, or there's some new WikiLeaks that's much bigger. If you were to bet, who would you bet to win in the election? If you were going to bet just on rational grounds, you would bet on Clinton right now. But that's also the if nothing changes scenario. I didn't really see this change. I don't think anybody did. I don't think anybody thought that there would be a video or an audio tape produced that was this damning. I mean, that's a very unusual situation. Usually, at most, I thought there would be rumors of terrible things that Trump did, and the voters wouldn't know if he did them or he didn't do them, and then they would just sort of ignore them. But you did expect there would be plenty of bad rumors, so that was sort of baked into the cake. You didn't expect him to hear him admit them, and moreover, you didn't expect that they would be this nature. You know, you thought it would be more like cheated on his wife sort of thing, or had a threesome, or whatever. But, you know, and of course you've heard the rumors that he, you know, raped an underage woman or stuff, which I'm sure is not true, by the way. In fact, the more outrageous the rumor, the less likely it's true. And so when you get to raping 13-year-olds, I think the odds of that being true are pretty close to zero. That was proven a lie. You can't prove things didn't happen. Gropes or works and rapes. You know, this is one of those times when you see how dumb people are. Because I've been making the case in blogs and on Periscope that Trump is accused of, you know, groping and trying to kiss women. Bill Clinton, who is not running for president, we will stipulate, has been accused of raping and sexual abuse, and his wife is accused of being an enabler. But they also have said explicitly that they're running as a team. You know, the first time they ran, they said it, and the second time they ran. So if you say that it doesn't count because Hillary is the one running for president, it's not her husband, well, then she has to recant that part about him being part of the team. He's either part of the team or isn't, all right? If he's going to help on the economy, he's going to be her main advisor, he's campaigning with her, he's going to be living in the same house with her, appearing in front of the public with her. He'll be co-hosting state events. So if you tell me that his past doesn't count because she's the one running for president, you have to tell her that. Because she either has to keep him out of the fucking White House, and I mean that, keep him out of the fucking White House, or include him on the team. Do what you said you were going to do. Just say that he's on the team. And if he's on the team, so are his flaws. His flaws are on your goddamn team too. So while I can no longer, you know, write glowingly about Donald Trump under the circumstances, given what has come out recently, you can't let her in the White House with a known rapist and say he's part of the team. Right? You can't do that. You didn't know he was officially on the team? That's what they said. They said it's a 2-for-1. They said that early on. They haven't changed their mind. And she said specifically that his portfolio would include helping with the economy because he was good at the economy. So you can't say it. I think we should ask her to take it back. And by the way, anybody who votes for Hillary Clinton is fucking dead to me. You know, because I get it. I get it that you don't want somebody who's a groper in the White House, so you don't want Trump. I'm with you. I backed Gary Johnson, not because I think he'd be a good president, but because he's the only candidate that I know who only touches himself. I say that jokingly. But if you decide you don't want Trump in the White House and you vote for Hillary Clinton because she has a vagina and you don't care that she's bringing a rapist into the team as part of the brand of your country, I think you've got a big problem and you're going to have to live with it. So the only, I don't know if this is solace or Schadenfreude or something. Your Periscope just banned you for 60 seconds. So that's weird. You can't name any foreign leaders. I don't care. Do you care? If you let Hillary Clinton take with her essentially a known rapist at this point, and put him on the team and say, this is your brand, this is brand America, and we're good with this. Yay, women. The only thing we can say with certainty is that if either Trump wins or Clinton wins, it's the biggest loss for women of all time. because that's your brand, women. Your brand is old rapist. If you elect Clinton, he's on the team. No, you still haven't seen me get angry. I'm telling you, you don't want to see me get angry, because anger is not pretty. When I get angry, I lose all fear. Not that I have a lot of fear to begin with, but what I'm willing to do in those situations just becomes a much wider field. She's putting an impeached ex-president back in power. You're a woman and you support Trump 100%, but do you think he did the things he's accused of doing? Let me ask this of just the women. Are there women here who support Trump and believe he did what he's accused of doing, even if some of the accusers are not true? All right, so if you're a woman on this, do you support Trump while also believing that he did what he's accused of doing? Yes, you don't care? So you don't care that he was grabbing women? Do you not care because you still prefer him as president? Or would you not care if he were, a citizen or a coworker? I've grabbed some ass. Don't care. I care, but I don't want Hillary. Don't fully believe. Don't believe it. Hate Clinton more. Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't think you can vote for Clinton at this point and have a clean conscience about anything, really. Shenanigans. Women like it when you're drinking and dancing. I don't think so. I haven't heard that story. No woman I know cares about the tapes. I haven't heard anybody care about the tapes by themselves. It's the tapes plus the actual victims, alleged victims, talking out. It's the combination of the two. If either one of those things had happened in isolation, it wouldn't be enough to take him out. But now we've got the double whammy. Yeah, my body clock's still on European time. I was up at 2:30 this morning. Well, thank you. We all saw this coming. I didn't see this coming. I thought he would just be accused of having sex with a bunch of women outside of marriage. And that people were already baked into the cake. Do I think I'll ever not turn you on? You don't believe the rape. No, I don't believe the rape either. Yeah, a lot of people have a visceral reaction to him. So here's the thing that I think some of you have missed. Do you remember when, I talked about this a lot, back in the primaries when Jeb Bush looked like a calm, seasoned, professional, unflappable executive, because that calm demeanor just made him look like he was sort of in charge and knew what he was doing and he was confident. But as soon as Trump labeled him and said he was low energy, then you look at the same guy doing the same stuff that he'd always done, and suddenly that's all you could see. You could just see low energy. Try listening to any of the victims, alleged victims of Trump, talking about their encounter with him, and then watch him give a speech right after. And just watch his hand motions, and he does this a lot, and he does this a lot, and he makes faces. And suddenly all you can see is that guy. Where you saw an entertaining, charismatic, bigger than life, even if you saw a con man, you were seeing a character who at least was, fit for television, and you could imagine him being president. But as soon as you hear a few stories about his groping and his shenanigans, whether or not they're true, and that really doesn't matter to anything right now, because we weren't in the room. I mean, it matters to the victims and alleged victims, and might matter to Trump and his family, but it doesn't matter to the rest of us because we'll never know the truth. But as soon as you have that in your head, look how different he looks to you. And I mean that literally. His actual physical appearance, his mannerisms, the way he moves his hands, the way he moves his eyes, the way he, the words he chooses, all those things that didn't bother you before, or you thought were part of the act and it was part of the fun, isn't going to look like that anymore. They changed the frame, and they did it very well. Well, so let me give you. Here's one way that Clinton could win. One way that Trump could win. Clinton wins women. That's just done. Women are going to be on that side. But as somebody just said here, there are enough men who have been subject to false accusations, and I'm one of them. I've had lots of false accusations, because it just happens when you're famous, right? So when you're famous, people make all kinds of claims. So people like me, and I imagine there are lots of them, lots of men, who have been the subject of false accusations might just say, fuck it. They might just say, I don't care. I'm just going to vote for him because I'm mad at that time I was falsely accused of something. So it's not impossible that he would get 75% of men just because they just can't be on the on the other side. But I don't think that's likely. If you were trying, would you be more effective than Cernovich? Well, I don't know, because arguably I'm more famous, but he has equal or better skills. And he's also probably a bigger risk taker. So I would not say that I would be more effective than Mike Cernovich. He would be highly effective. You're just wrong about what? Big difference between Juanita Broaddrick and the Octopus Lady? There's a dumb thing to say, because of course they're different. But if you think that's what matters, you've missed the entire point. It doesn't matter what any one of them says, the accusers. It just matters that collectively you know that some of them are probably true. And the odds of all of them being fake, it's not impossible, by the way. Do you remember the McMartin preschool case? I've talked about this before. If you don't understand the McMartin school case, McMartin preschool case, and you can look on Wikipedia, just look up McMartin preschool. You don't really understand the world at any kind of level. And I realize that's a big statement, but I'll say it again. If you're not familiar with the McMartin preschool case of, 20 years ago, you don't understand the world even at a fundamental level, like even just a basic understanding of the world. You are completely confused about how your reality is shaped. The McMartin preschool case involved a number of kids in the preschool. Originally one, but then lots of them were interviewed and they said similar things. That the preschool was really a cover for a satanic cult, and that the owners and workers of the preschool were taking them to the basement below the preschool and subjecting them to tortures and sexual abuses and satanic rituals. And kid after kid backed up the story. They would take them in one by one and say, did this happen to you? Did this happen to you? And they would get lots of kids who would say, yeah, all these terrible things happened to me. So it was pretty much they were going to put these people in jail, the owners of this school, except when they dug under the school to find this secret chamber, it didn't have one, nor did it have any other evidence. And then when some experts got involved, dare I call them hypnotists, who looked at the tapes where the police were, I think it was the police, were interviewing the children, the experts, who probably didn't call themselves hypnotists, but they had the same skill set, probably cognitive psychologist or something, said, whoa, 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 it's the way you're asking the question. When you're talking to really young kids, you can lead them to believing that their imagination is reality, because kids do that fairly easily. So if you say to them, hey, is there anything you need to tell me? And the kid hasn't heard any rumors, they'd probably say, no. But if you say, did anything strange happen at your school? The kid will say, I don't know, maybe. Did they ever take you to a secret room? And the kid will say, sure. But he's sort of just playing along. And then they say, did they wear outfits? And the kid will say, sure. Did they touch you? I guess so. And then pretty soon the kid has decided that it's real. So you can actually talk a kid into having a whole imaginary past. It's fairly easy to do. So when the experts saw the McMartin preschool case, they were able finally to clear these poor bastards who were accused of this stuff by saying, no, it actually is very possible that you could have all these different witnesses with very similar stories and none of it true. Very possible. Likewise, it would be possible for all of the scientists. Here's where I get in trouble. And this will give you a little insight into things that I've done in the past that you wondered why I did them. If you were to ask, is it possible, let's now extend this process, or this thinking, the McMartin's preschool thinking. So now we do know that there are a number of cases where even adults have said that they saw something that just didn't happen. Right? So history has those examples. I don't have one off the top of my head, but there are some good examples like that. Let me give you an example of, I think it was on Oprah, there was an example where they showed a college professor was teaching a class, and he had a Confederate, this was arranged in advance, who would run in and steal something from, like a purse or something, from the front of the class and then run out. And then they would ask all the students to describe the person who came in and left. And all their descriptions were all over the board. It was like they weren't even describing the same person. So they induced, and they did this intentionally, a mass hallucination for a full room full of people. Most of them imagined something that literally didn't happen right in front of them. They imagined some entirely different person coming in and acting in an entirely different way, because they all had different stories. So now we know that individuals can completely fantasize the situation. We know that children did it in the McMartin's school case, and psychologists know that you can do that easily with a child. What you don't know yet, and here's the thing that I know that you don't know, is that you can make a whole bunch of adults fantasize something that didn't happen just as easily as you can do it with the kids. Maybe not just as easily, but almost as easily. And so when you say to me, for example, all the scientists agree that climate change is real, or all the scientists agree that evolution is the way it's been described, I say, I agree with you, because philosophically I agree with science, and it seems like a good bet to bet with the majority of scientists. So from a scientific standpoint, climate change is real because most scientists say so. Evolution is real because most scientists say so. But here's what I know that you don't know. The odds of all those scientists being wrong, or the odds of all of Trump's accusers being wrong, are way higher than you think. Way higher. You don't need a conspiracy for any of that to happen. Because when people expect things to be true, that's what they see. Right? So could it be in your normal world, let's say your 2D world where people care about facts and policies and science and reason and all that, in that world, it really would be largely impossible that all the scientists would be on the same side and then they're all wrong. Right? In my world, the world of hypnosis, the world of persuasion, it's actually pretty common. You could have all the experts on the wrong side fairly often. And the way it happens, all you would need is someone to get the ball rolling who is credible. So if one person said something was true, and the other scientist said, well, that scientist is credible, and maybe even the data is credible, from that moment on, they're all persuaded to imagine the world to fit the model they've already decided. So could you get to a world where evolution was not the way it's described, yet all scientists that are credible think it is, the answer is yes, you could. And not only that, it wouldn't be hard. Right? And nobody has to be doing a conspiracy. Nobody has to be doing anything, illegal or immoral. It's just how our brains are wired. Likewise, with climate change, could it be true that climate change is not what we think it is? Let's say just in terms of the models. I think everybody agrees that the measurements are probably right. Not everybody, but scientists anyway. But could the climate change models all be wrong? Even though most of these smart people who have checked it and they're using science, and science is not an opinion, science is objective fact. What are the odds that all that could be wrong? Well, if you haven't studied persuasion and psychology and hypnosis, you'd say really, really low, because these are exactly the most rational people who are checking each other's work. Most of the tests are reproduced. This group of people is the least likely to be wrong, and there's just thousands of them, and they're mostly all on the same side. So if you look at that and say to yourself, it's really unlikely that all those experts are wrong, you're living in a different world than I am. In my world, those experts could be easily wrong. That doesn't mean they are, and that's what's gotten me in trouble before. So let's get back to Trump and his accusers. In my world, it doesn't matter if it's true or not true, because I'll never know. It wasn't there. And even if some of these people are untrue, it doesn't necessarily mean there isn't someone who didn't speak up, who, something bad happened. So I think with somebody like Trump, someone who has this much power, the odds of him doing something that you would find terrible are really high. But the odds of these dozen or so women, and probably there'll be more, all being mistaken or all lying, what do you think the odds are? Well, I would say that some of them could be just liars. Maybe some of them are being paid, right? Maybe. I'm not claiming that. I'm just talking hypothetically. So let's say you had 12 women claiming something and 2 of them were paid. The 2 that are paid go first. Then what happens? Then you've got a full McMartin preschool situation. Because if the first 2 go and they get some attention and, things go well and people largely believe them, even though Trump says they're liars, but the public believes them. Suddenly you've got thousands of people out there who have met Trump at one point or another, or imagine they've met Trump. And suddenly they start telling their stories, but their stories are made up. So you could easily have a situation where you've got 2 people who are paid to lie, and then 10 people piling on who are not paid to lie, and they might even be Trump supporters, but they would have an actual hallucination of an event that didn't happen. Now, how do I know that someone can have an hallucination of an event that didn't happen? Well, let me tell you about something that happened to me 2 weeks ago. All right? About 2 weeks ago. A few weeks ago, I got a postcard in the mail. And it was this cryptic postcard that said, I'll see you on this day. And it was like a week in the future or something. I didn't know who the person was, and there was no return address or phone number on it. So I waited for that day, and there was a follow-up. So I didn't see it until the day that person said they were going to meet with me, and I didn't know who they were or why or anything else. And the second postcard had some contact information, a phone number. So I called the phone number and said, I don't know what this is about, but you think you're meeting with me today. It was a woman on the other end, and she said that she had left her husband and her family, and she had moved from the East Coast to my town, and she had just checked into a hotel down the street, and she was there to spend the rest of her life with me. And the reason was that she had been reading all the messages that I had left her, allegedly, in my cartoon strip. And she believed that she was making comments in the comments of the Dilbert comic, and that I was responding to her comments in a clever way by writing my next comic strip to sort of respond to her. And she believed that for months she and I had been flirting, and that I had, been serious enough in my flirting that I had convinced her to leave her life and move to my coast because she, just looked at public records and figured out what town I'm in. And she moved there. No, this isn't a lie. This is absolutely true. So I had to get on the phone with her, and actually, I had to convince her, like on the phone, that she and I had never had a conversation online or in any other way, that whatever she was imagining was literally a hallucination, and lots of them, and that she better go back to her husband because she needed help. And I told her as honestly as I could that I thought she needed some professional help. And that here's the weird part. This isn't the first time. It's not the first time. This is actually the second time that someone has believed I've had an ongoing conversation with them. One of them actually believes that I've traveled to Canada and rifled through her apartment and gotten onto her computer. And the first one I'm talking about, not the one that flew across the country, that one called all of my work associates. When I owned a restaurant, she called the manager of my restaurant and told them that I was a sexual predator and that I'd done a number of sexually abusive things to her. Keep in mind, this is someone I never met, like a complete stranger who lives in Canada, some town, I don't even know what town. She called my publisher, told them that I was a sexual predator, called my licensing contacts, told them that I was a sexual predator. Now, not only is none of that true, but I literally had never met this woman, wasn't terribly aware of her existence other than as a stalker, online stalker. So here's the situation. The fact that you have 12 people who sound really credible and don't look like they're lying, if you tell yourself, well, therefore I have proof, not so much. Because you could very easily have two people who are paid to lie, who are just good at it, who also didn't look like liars because they'd practiced a lot and they were just good at it. Because if you practice enough, you can get away with anything, right? To catch a liar, you usually have to ask them questions they weren't expecting. And they're getting mostly friendly interviews from, CNN and such. So if you get a friendly interview and you know what questions are coming and you just avoid questions that are problematic, you can sound really convincing. And all you need is two that sound convincing, and that's going to kick up 10 that are like my Canadian stalker and like the woman who came across the country. Because they have detailed stories that they actually believe. So if you put a lie detector on either of the women I just talked about, who have been, who've lived a fantasy life with me apparently, if you put a lie detector on them, they would pass because they believe these things happened. In their imagination, they believe these things happened. So when I look at the so-called victims, it doesn't really matter that they're true or not because they look true, and that's how the public will decide. So, the plane lady is fake Trump owned his own plane. Yeah, if you had to bet on which two are least likely to be true, and here again, I'm not going to make an accusation about these two individuals because I don't want to be that guy who calls the victims names. But if you had to bet on it, if you're just being purely objective, the two with the detailed stories sound the least likely to be true. Now, they might be true. We don't know. But you and I will never know because we weren't in the room. But if you had to judge, I would say the plane lady is the least likely to be true. The person who was on Celebrity Apprentice, maybe a little more likely to be true, but maybe exaggerated a little bit. Yeah, and we know from take the Duke lacrosse situation. I didn't follow that as well, but that's an example. That would be an example of a mass illusion that people believed. Do you remember the case of the what was it called? Was it like the New York Five or something? You remember, decades ago, Trump got some flack because he took out a full-page ad in the New York Times that said these 5 guys that had been accused of, I don't know, raping and killing a woman in the park, they should get the death sentence or whatever it was. So he came out, Central Park 5, yeah. So he came out against these Central Park 5 based on the fact that the police believed they were guilty. Keep in mind, the police, it's their job to find out who's guilty. They thought they were guilty. And it wasn't one policeman. Obviously it was a prosecutor, probably the prosecutor's boss, probably a few assistant prosecutors, probably several police. All these people talked to 5 different people and all concluded that these 5 people were guilty of this heinous crime. And it turns out they weren't. It was a total illusion. So if you tell me that, here's your defense. If you tell me that Trump was wrong because he believed that those 5 African-American men were guilty, and I think at this point we know he was wrong, you have to know that it's real easy for lots of people to be fooled into thinking crimes happen. And you have to take that same concept over to his 12 accusers and say to yourself, what are the odds these are true, given that Trump himself was the victim of believing something was true that wasn't, actual crimes. Yeah, Cosby is the same situation. So I'm not going to defend Cosby, but I'm going to make a claim that will sound outrageous to you, which is that how many people have accused Cosby and had essentially the same story about him? Is it 12, 20 people, something like that? Does anybody know how many people had 50 plus, 39, 40, 50? Yeah. So when you see that and you say, oh my God, 40 or 50 women with the same story, that can't be false. You're wrong, because all it takes is the first 2 or 3 to tell the same story for whatever reason, and the rest of them come on automatically, whether it happened or not. Because the mass delusion would kick in, and then people would say, my God, I had sex with Bill Cosby, and I must have been raped too. Now, if you ask me, I think Cosby is more likely guilty than not. But if you think there's no chance he's innocent because of the number of people who said the same story, then you don't understand the world. You don't understand the human mind. You don't understand how often something like that happens. The number of times you can get like dozens of people to say something happened and actually believe it. Like they actually believe they were part of a crime. Actually believe that an entirely different reality happened. It's actually more common than you think. And if you don't understand that, you don't understand how the world works on a very fundamental level. But I don't think it's going to matter whether Trump did these things or not, because there are enough people, and it'll never be decided in court. Why isn't Melania doing anything to offset? Because Melania is embarrassed, and it's not her problem. Melania shouldn't do anything to offset. She should just live her life and as best she can. Yeah, like the Jim Jones cults. Yeah, like any religion, any cult. Mass delusion is common phenomenon. Now, trying to tell the uninformed public that it's possible that a dozen women, and God knows there might be 50 of them by the time we're done with this thing, to say that a dozen or dozens women with very similar stories about the same person, to say that those could, even in the wildest imaginations, that they could all be false, it's more obvious than, it's more possible than you think. I got to tell you. No, you know what? I can't blog that. I can't blog that because and that's why I'm out, because you can't be a rape apologist, and that's what people would call you if I were to say that it's even possible that 12 women could all be mistaken or hallucinating or lying, then that would be an unrecoverable error for me. So instead of that, I'm just going to say, I don't know, I wasn't there. But if you think there's no chance, then you don't understand the world. If I had to put an odds on it, let me put an odds on it. I'll do that for you. Let me put an odds on it that all 12 women are a combination of either lying or just confused. Confused meaning they hallucinated something that didn't happen. What are the odds of that? Say the odds are 40%. Let's say 40%. So 60% chance that something happened that the voters wouldn't like. 40% chance that all 12 of them are mistaken or lying. 40%. Now, you can't really vote for the guy who's got a 40% chance of this being true. So as a persuasion kill shot, it's very effective. And I think it was a kill shot. I think Trump has very low chance of winning at this point. Yeah, powerful men have always done that, blah, blah. So here's the funny thing. Did you see there were some memes going around because the pussy comment and the octopus comment. Somebody took the old James Bond movie, Octopussy was the name of the James Bond movie, and they made a meme out of it where they replaced James Bond's face with Trump. By weird coincidence, and this is a really weird coincidence, Octopussy was on. Maybe it wasn't a coincidence. It was on last night. And I'm flipping through the channels, and I probably would not have turned it on, except that it said Octopussy, and it was on my mind, so I thought, I'm going to click this. So I turned it on, and here's the scene I saw. Now, pay attention to this part, because this is going to be really interesting, I think. And it was a scene in which James Bond, played by, who was the British guy who played James Bond in the Octopussy movie? Give me his name, will you, before I go on. What was his name? The British guy? No, not Connery. Roger Moore, thank you. So Roger Moore in the movie Octopussy, playing James Bond. And there's, of course, the woman who, I don't know if she worked for the bad guy, but at least she wasn't interested in him. And he makes a pass at her sort of verbally, and she rejects him and walks into the bedroom. And he walks up behind her, he grabs her by the shoulders, he forcefully turns her around, and he forcefully puts his hand behind her back, pushes her head toward him, and forcefully kisses her. She rejects him. And then he persists. And he forcefully kisses her harder. And then she goes, "Oh, James." And they make mad love. Now, by modern standards, that's rape. So what James Bond did in the movie Octopussy, in which he forced himself, literally forced himself on a woman, kissed her without her consent, and not only without her consent, while she was struggling to get away, literally would be considered sexual abuse. All right? So keep in mind that that's a movie that both men and women enjoyed watching. And as far as I know, I haven't heard any women boycotting that movie or the network that ran it to say, you're showing sexual abuse and you're making it look noble or something. So the whole question of how often did Trump do something like Roger Moore did in James Bond, which is press himself upon a woman and then get rejected and maybe keep trying, you have to ask yourself how often that worked. Right? Because you're hearing stories from women who rejected him and it didn't work. And my guess is that it works more than you think it does. All right? So I'm not going to defend it. I'm just saying that objectively, when you're famous like he is, it probably works more than you imagine it would. Now, I'm not going to defend any accusations that he just grabbed women under their skirts and stuff like that, because obviously that didn't work. So if any of that's true, there's no defense against that. But the fact is, we live in a world in which powerful men do push themselves on women, And women reject them and sometimes change their minds and sometimes don't. And it's all your banter is crude, causing a stir. Um, so keep in mind that I'm not defending either Roger Moore and James Bond or Trump. I'm just telling you that that's the context. 3 weeks is a long time. Your wife is closer than ever to voting for Trump. What about all the women he didn't touch? Yeah, I don't think that's an argument. Murder is a bit more serious. Well, here's the thing. If we find a videotape in which Clinton talks about her love of murdering people, then you got a fair fight. But it's that damn videotape or audio tape that really makes it essentially impossible for Trump to win at this point. I'm not crumbling under pressure. I'm just telling you that the situation changed. Why is it that when somebody changes their mind or changes their actions when the information changes, how's that a bad thing? Wouldn't it be harder to explain why you didn't change? You have such a prick tone. It's funny, all confidence is offensive to people who don't have it. So I hear what you're saying. Consistency bias, exactly. And by the way, some of you are asking, how do I know that other people are experiencing confirmation bias and I'm not? Well, I have changed my endorsement twice now. And it's based on changing information. If you've kept your endorsement the same, even as all the information has changed, I think you got a lot to explain. I was watching, some of you saw me forward or retweet Jake Tapper's witty comment. And I know you're all going to pile on and say bad things about Jake, but I like Jake. He's a good guy. And whether or not he's in the tank for Clinton, you can make your own decision. But he did tweet something clever, which he said, I'll paraphrase it. He said, if you think that all the rumors about the candidate you don't like are true, and none of the rumors about your candidate are true, you might ask yourself about that. He worded it really funny because there are so many rumors out there that you kind of have to believe most of them are true on both sides, or I suppose you could believe that none of them are true on all sides. But if you believe that all the rumors on one side are true and all the rumors on the other side are untrue, you're not really using anything like common sense or judgment or reason or anything like that. Nobody likes Jake on here, huh? Look, all I can tell you is that, my interactions with Jake were all great. And, he and I helped raise, good deal of money, a lot of it mine, for the wounded veterans. I didn't love his David Duke questioning of Trump, but hey, that was his job, and Trump blew the question, so can't blame it all on him. So the globalists are winning. Yes, it does look like the globalists are winning. You grew up with Trump? Half of U.S. No, when I said that you should believe half of the rumors, I think you have to adjust that by how wild the accusations are. So people visiting from another planet, that's a higher level of proof than man touches woman in an inappropriate way, which is pretty much every day. What else could hurt Clinton? Something in the health or alcohol category would be bad. You don't like it when I walk around? If Hillary wins World War III, I don't think so. Soros and his connection with the voting machines. JFK was a rapist. Apparently so. What are you scared of? Just in general, you mean? Nothing at the moment. Dude, read WikiLeaks. Yeah, I'm reading them. They're all just glancing blows. Yeah, it doesn't matter how many times someone who is not Hillary Clinton says something bad in an email. It's still not Hillary Clinton. If she's not saying it, it doesn't count. All this WikiLeaks stuff is a complete miss. Republicans are done for 30 years if Trump loses. I think the Republicans are done, just period. Yeah, I don't think we'll have any Republican presidents again after this. Hello, David, new on the app. I'm deluding myself a bit about WikiLeaks. Find me someone who changed their vote because of WikiLeaks. Just one person. Give me one person who changed their vote from Clinton to Trump because of WikiLeaks. I don't think you're going to find one, unless there's more there. Wetworks. I'm gay because of WikiLeaks. Yeah, I mean, it did say wet work. But here's the thing you don't say if you're planning to kill people and you're in the government. You don't put it in your email. I'm wrong about WikiLeaks. They killed Scalia. I think you're going to need a lot more proof than one word and one email that came from someone who wasn't Clinton. I don't see any difference. I didn't say that. Of course there's a difference. I'm just saying that Trump can't win at this point, unless something new happens. What about Seth Rich? Well, there's certainly, he raises an eyebrow, but if nobody has anything that looks like proof, it doesn't matter. Because remember, I'm not dealing on the level of things that happened or didn't happen. All that will matter to the race is what the voters think happened and think didn't happen. And right now, the persuasion advantage is so overwhelmingly in Clinton's favor that Trump is unwinnable at this point. Now, it's possible, you can imagine that the mail vote just goes through the roof because men are kind of irrelevant to this election, and if they want to be relevant, well, actually, let me speculate a little bit. I'm thinking out loud here, so this is a new thought. So give it no credibility, right? We're just thinking out loud. We've never had a situation after millions of years of civilizations and a few hundred years of this country. All right, bear with me on this thought, right? We've never had a situation where men collectively didn't make all the decisions, right? Now, I'm speaking in a universal here, but you know what I mean, right? So you can just round off. So for many years, of civilization, men were bigger, men were the leaders, men made all the decisions. And then there were, long periods, and even in our country's history, where women couldn't even vote. So men made the decisions. And then women could vote, but it was only men who were running for office. So it didn't matter. Men were still making the decisions. And now we get to this year. Now you have a woman running for office, but you also have more female voters than men, right? And some men are going to be evenly split because they're not as engaged. They're just saying, I'm a Democrat, I'll vote this way, I'm a Republican. But the women are not. They're not hard-coded into their into their party so much. The women are going to vote for women, and the women are going to make the decision. So for the first time in history that I can think of, in American history anyway, yeah, we're not talking about other countries. The first time in American history, because it's the American part that's important to what's coming next, the first time in American history, men have been sidelined. Think about it. Men really won't matter to this election. And if Hillary Clinton gets elected, we'll have a woman running the country. One assumes that she'll hire lots of women as advisors, and that probably the women will be, maybe a little bit more important to her because they can relate to her better or whatever. So I think this is a situation where men, collectively, will get to decide whether they want to hand over power for the country. And if they decide collectively that they don't, there's going to be a lot of secret voting for Trump just to maintain power for men. Because I think American men are just used to being in charge. There's a lot of history to that. Afterbirth of a nation. So there is some possibility that you'll get a American male backlash of men who just say, screw this, I don't want to live in a country where women can rule me just by making a fake sexual allegation. Because that's sort of what's happening here. I mean, Trump is going to lose because of sex allegations. And a lot of people are going to think they're fake. I don't know if they're fake or not, but a lot of people are going to think so. So the people who think that any of them are fake, let me put it in a different way. If you think that any of the 12-ish or more accusations against Trump are fake, and you're a man, there's going to be a little bit of incentive to say, fuck that. I'd just vote for the guy so that sort of stuff doesn't work. Keep in mind that if Clinton gets elected, there'll never be another male president. Let me say that again. If Hillary Clinton gets elected, there will never be another male president. I'm going to say that a third time. If Hillary Clinton gets elected, there will never be another male president. Here's why. Because what they're doing to Trump can be done to every male that's, over 50 and running for that position. All you have to do is trot out the women who claim that they were molested by him. If this works, and it looks like it is working, there'll just never be another male president. Because women are a little bit insulated from that, partly because they haven't done those things, and partly because people wouldn't believe it if a woman was accused of it. So if the election is decided based on the Access Hollywood tapes and the women coming forward to validate what was said on the tapes, if that determines the election, and at this point it is, at this point that is the thing that will decide the election, then that's the last male president you'll ever have. Because any man who's done enough and been in power enough and been around enough to be a serious candidate for president is going to have these exact same set of allegations leveled against him because it worked, right? So if you're a man and you would like to ever see another male president, you might say, well, screw it. I don't care if he did these things or didn't do these things. If these things can determine whether men can be in power, then I choose, men might say, we choose to ignore these things. Ted Cruz has 5 girlfriends. Don't you think that here's the most provocative thing I'm going to say. Don't you think that there's a big overlap between the personality of people who think, hey, I could be leader of the entire country, and people who are likely to be too aggressive with women? I mean, at least the men. Don't you think there's a pretty big overlap? I mean, it's not a big surprise. Let me tell you something else. There is a president in our history that you think definitely did not have an affair. and I won't name names, but there's one that you think, okay, that one definitely didn't have an affair. But I have inside knowledge from somebody who, was a researcher who actually knew the mistress, right? So you're not really going to have any male presidents who reach that level who don't have girlfriends and skeletons and mistresses and bad behavior and accusations of bad behavior and stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to say who it is. Yeah. So anyway, enjoy President Obama. He will be the last man who ever is your president, who is male. By the way, did anybody buy into that? So you heard me describe that no man can ever be president again if these accusations stick to Trump, because you can just make up these accusations for any man. You're not buying it? I wouldn't buy the Rasmussen polls yet. They've always been pro-Trump. You can't say that all the other polls that are anti-Trump are fixed, and the Rasmussen poll, which has been pro-Trump, is the one that's honest. I mean, you're not really trying, if that's your opinion. Plausibility. LA Times is true. Who knows? Am I persuading you? No, I'm just telling you that the odds of well, I suppose you could still have a gay man be president. That's sort of next, isn't it? If we were to do these in order, wouldn't it be African American, check, woman president, check, and then gay male? I mean, you could argue that either Obama or Clinton were our first. No, probably Abe Lincoln was the first gay president. I guess that's already done. You're voting for IBM's Watson? Elizabeth Warren next in line. Maybe so. How old is she? Anderson Cooper for president. You get groped on the subway every friggin' day. Yeah, I told this story yesterday, but I was on the London Underground a couple days ago, and I watched two young women have a very bad experience in there. It was shocking, and I think I'm actually influenced by that. I think I'm persuaded, so to speak, by actually watching it happen in front of me so recently, that when I saw how visceral that is, and this morning I was reading a Facebook post by a female friend who was talking about her car breaking down, and the two men who came to help service her were just super scary and hitting on her the whole time, and she was trapped because it was her car. It was broken down, and there was these two big guys, and it turns out nothing happened, but just being there and the way they talked was super scary and creepy. So I think that on a visceral level, the accusations against Trump are going to be very powerful and will affect people's votes. Video of Hillary calling somebody by the N-word, I don't think that's going to surface. If it does, that would be possibly a game changer. But I don't think we're going to see it. Why would they wait, Men and women should not work together. Well, you got your Sharia law, and you got an option for that. You were not surprised? No, I wasn't. I think I was surprised at the so-called pussy grabbing. I didn't really think that was really a thing. New polls, I'm not believing any of the new polls yet. I think there's too much froth going on. And I think that probably there are polls on both sides that are fixed at this point. So I'd expect that all the polls are fixed, but some of them are fixed in the direction you like, and some of them are fixed in the other way. You knew he was a serial pussy grabber? I don't think you knew that. You probably just thought he was having affairs. Everybody thought that. New accusations today. The girls were waiting for the emails. Yeah, maybe. The worst argument in favor of Trump right now is, well, why did all these people come out suddenly at this convenient time? And the reason is because the tape came out, the Access Hollywood tape. Because short of that, the women would be disbelieved. But as soon as the tape came out, women said, quite reasonably, holy shit, I will totally be believed, and I'm not just a complainer now, I'm someone who can shape the history of the world. So these women went from, there's no reason to come public because it's just going to be all bad for me and no good for anybody, to, holy shit, I can actually be believed now because the leaked tape. And when, 3 or 4 of them come out, then the rest of them are just totally safe. So the tape made it safe, and the fact that it will change the history of civilization. Jessica Leeds debunked by a British passenger. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if it happened or not. It doesn't matter if they can't. It doesn't matter how many of them get debunked. There are enough of them that the public will accept it as truth. No, I'm sorry. Facts don't matter. Facts have never mattered in this election, and the truth doesn't matter. It's not going to influence anybody. Never has, never will. All that matters is how it feels. And when you hear those allegations about Trump, and you're a woman, or let's say you've even been involved with anybody who's had these same crimes cast upon them, a loved one, for example, you just have a visceral feeling that's so strong that there's just no way in the world that that doesn't make a big difference to the election. Automatic records, I don't have an opinion. Too many of these make you still to know a woman has changed their vote. Well, it's possible that people are running from it when pollsters ask them the question. It's possible that, like I said, there's a possibility that men will just decide to maintain power because it makes them feel good. Not for any good reason. Not because men are better leaders or anything. I don't have an opinion on that. I think it depends on the man and the woman. But if men collectively don't want to give up power forever to sexual allegations of their past, they'll vote for Trump to maintain the option. But if you let Trump lose because of sexual allegations, even if you think they're true, then you've pretty much given it up for men as leaders for the rest of your life, probably. Because every man will have these same accusations and have the same result. Anything you can do? Well, yeah, you could talk to other men and find out what they're thinking. See if you can find a man who's changing his vote because of this. But I think you'd have to find a Clinton voter who changed his vote to Trump because of this. Well, that's going to be a hard sell. Won't people get numb to it? Women won't, and that's all that matters. Because women are going to vote for Clinton in such a majority that it won't matter what men do, because she only has to get a few men. What if Trump apologized and asked for forgiveness? Probably too late at this point, because he's already called the women liars. No way women would vote for a man again. Yeah. So this isn't just the end of Trump. This is the end of men in leadership positions. Because if this works, it's going to work on all of them. If we lose, is America effed? Nobody can see the future. You know, women with sons. Broad idiotic statements. You think women are blithering idiots. I think people are blithering idiots. Does that make it less sexist for you? So yes, men and women are blithering idiots. That's my entire philosophy. My philosophy is that we make decisions based on emotional elements and then we rationalize them after the fact. It doesn't matter which side you're on, you're doing the same thing. Men invented VR, women as a response. Yeah, you know, joke as you will. I think the virtual reality sex will replace regular sex in 5 years. And by replace, I mean it'll just be so much better that sex with an actual human woman will be a disappointment. I'd say we're almost there. 5 years is probably too long, probably 3 years. I'd say in 3 years that some kind of virtual type sex will just be way better than human sex. And I would argue that it's already here, but I'm not going to make that argument. Huffington Post will have a ball. Does that make you mad? Does what make you mad? I'm not his wife, so I don't care. Robotech? No, I haven't. Examples of how Trump can win? Well, yeah, one example would be if there was a bombshell about Clinton's health or, let's say, drinking, for example, so that she drank too much. One would be if enough of the accusers are shown to be, you know, definite liars, that might be enough to make the rest of them look unbelievable, but I doubt it. One might be that men just decide that they don't want to live in a country where no man can be in a leadership position again. Because the fact is that by the time men reach that level of leadership, they all have shit in their closet that when you tell it, it sounds worse than maybe it even was when you were there in person. So if men decide as a group that they don't want to live in a world where a man can't be president, they might decide to draw the line here. But in so doing, they're going to be supporting somebody who's got a lot of accusations against them. So it's a tough line to draw. Do you think men would really think like that? I think they haven't thought like that. But the way people think is changing every day here. Now that let me say this. So you heard those of you who were on here earlier. So you heard me say that if Trump loses, there will never be another male who can successfully run the country, because there will always be this type of accusations if they work, and they're working right now. Does anybody buy that? You can't believe that? Well, who do you believe that would be? Yeah, you could have a gay man. That's true. You are very sexist. No. So nobody's buying that, right? So if you don't believe that that's a problem, some do. Yes. So yes, you're believing that, wait, I forget my own question. I buy it. Yeah. Yeah, if this works, Gloria Allred runs the country, right? She decides whether to trot out an accuser and add credibility, because she does add credibility. She does a good job of that. Not until I said it. Well, if you want Trump to win, then maybe you should talk to your male friends and tell them this is the end of men having a chance of being president if this kind of accusation can hold. Because independent of whether these accusations against Trump are true or not true, it will probably affect the election. And if it affects the election, people are going to try the same trick again. And if they try the same trick again, you know what I hate? I hate walking in my house and feeling an airflow from someplace. Must be a door open. Uh, is America in decline like Rome? Um, I would say no. I mean, we could be in decline later, but at the moment we're still doing some good stuff. Uh, the racist one has been. See, the problem with the racist thing is that you could apply that to either men or women. Um, so that's sort of even. But the sexual impropriety one pretty much only works against men. Sky is not falling. Well, anything could happen. But as we stand here today, Trump doesn't have a chance unless something big changes in the environment. Some news comes out, for example. Moms with divorced sons don't buy it. That's true. Truthful Lies. Follow you again. You mean on Twitter? You are giving him a shot? Yeah, he has a shot. He has what I call a puncher's chance. Have you ever heard that analogy? So he's like a boxer who's way behind in points and doesn't have time to make it up in points. So if this boxer is going to win in the final round, it's only can happen by a knockout. So it's going to have to be a lucky punch. A groper's chance. Trump is displaying the biggest problems with today's decent men. Yeah, a decent man can't get elected because he's going to be too wimpy. And anybody who's got Trump-like, big man personality is going to be taken down this way. So you have two kinds of men who can't win. Possibly a gay man who is actually out could win next time. Still has thousands at his rallies every day. Yeah, I think the vast majority of Trump supporters will stay Trump supporters because people don't like to switch sides. But there are a whole bunch of people who are parking votes, maybe waiting for this to blow over and they can, park their vote somewhere until it does. So there's a possibility that men have massively parked votes. Yeah. Jimmy Carter. So I think that's why you're not going to see another Jimmy Carter, because Jimmy Carter was the nice man train wreck. Some Parkers I know overseas voted Clinton. Civil War? No, I don't think so. I don't know what the Russians are or are not doing. Does it really take the Russians to hack something? Is it really that hard? It feels like there could have been a lot of people who hacked. Last time I had 8 hours sleep? That's a good question. I can't think of a time in my adult life I've had 8 hours of sleep. I got a good 4 last night. Yeah. You need sleep. Well, this election's up to women, I think, because men are just gonna do what men probably always did, which is Republicans vote Republican, Democrats vote Democrat, and then women are just going to decide it's time for a woman. So this latest Trump unpleasantness just makes it easier for women to do that. Seek alternative news. I read a lot of alternative news. Stop generalizing. I'm generalizing, but I'm telling you I'm generalizing. It's certainly a true generalization that most women are voting for Clinton. I mean, that's fair to say, isn't it? Text it. You're saying that women are the swing demographic? Well, I think they're the majority, aren't they? That's bigger than a swing demographic. They're actually the biggest voting group, greater than 50%, I would think. Favorite news source? Business Insider. Did men have a shot? I don't know. It depends if this works. Does elitism anger you like it does Nassim Taleb? I don't know how much it angers him, but no, the elitism doesn't bother me. That's sort of not my. Bezos owns it. Yes, he does. But I would say the Business Insider does not have the anti-Trump bias that you would see in other, the Washington Post, for example. Yeah. I think Business Insider has, the Bezos connection, of course. But I read it every day, and I can tell you there's a lot of pro-Trump stuff in there. Christina is my girlfriend, yes. Next debate predictions. Trump will win the next debate. Well, unless he goes all defensive, because I think he has to go defensive on these women. So if he takes time to defend himself with the women, he loses. If he sweeps it away with one sentence, and then talks about Clinton, he might win, but I don't think the debate will make the difference at this point. They're just an aggregator. Well, they're more than an aggregator because they do have a lot of their own. Well, that's true. They're an aggregator, but they have their own writers sort of summarizing and talking about other sites. Yeah. Does anybody think that Clinton is laying low just because she's ahead? That's probably because of her health, right? You looked at Christina's Instagram? Yeah, she's certainly ill. But I think women are going to choose a sick Hillary as long as she's actually breathing. I mean, she could be connected to tubes, but she would still win at this point because women have decided that she's their candidate. Clown thinking. Do I think there'll be war with Russia? Don't speak for me, please. Well, you realize that when I talk about women favoring Clinton, that doesn't imply all women, right? You know that that's just, yeah. She's not winning. Well, if she's not, she will. TV media versus internet media. I think old people still watch TV, and old people are the biggest voting bloc, right? Please don't speak for me. I don't mean to speak for anybody else. But when I say that does it make you happier if I say most women instead of just women? Can men rebound in 4 years if Hillary is awful? They can rebound, but they can't win because as soon as a man gets to the final contest, these same 12 women are going to come out against that man too because it's easy to do. If it works, people repeat it, right? That's the trick. If anything works, you do more of it. And the accusations against Trump are totally working. Reals versus feels. No, it's not. It's feels versus feels. There's no reals, and there never has been. What if it's two men? I don't know how two men could get to the finals. I don't know what Cialdini thinks. Trump has more support than you realize. Well, I'm kind of famous for saying that there's a hidden Trump supporter, so I'm not sure it's more than I realize, but it's not enough. You think Soros and the Rothschilds are it's part of some giant conspiracy? Double white guy ticket was a mistake. No, probably wasn't. I don't think that made a difference. Well, if I took a poll on here, it would be all Trump supporters, right? Let's do that. Tell me who you're going to vote for. I'm going to put this down for a second. Now you do the talking. Tell me who you're voting for. Trump, 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 Trump. That's just because that's who I attract to my casts. Trump, Trump, Trump. Hillary? Hillary? It's just the same person saying Hillary. Tisdale. Trump, Trump, Stein. Trump, Trump. Trump, Trump, Trump. Nixon. Trump, Trump, Sanders, right? Kaepernick. Cheeto Jesus, Johnson, Johnson, Christina. Good vote. I'm voting for Christina too. Scott Adams. Would you vote for Gary Johnson if Gary Johnson decided to make me his advisor? All right, so let's change the question. I'm not serious about this, but let's say Gary Johnson decided. No. So let's say Gary Johnson decided to make me his advisor. Would you? No. He's an open borders. Fuck. No, but I'd be his advisor. So you'd have to assume that. Do you think he would do anything that he wanted to do after I was his advisor? I'd be effectively running the country then, wouldn't I? Well, here's the thing. If I were any president's close advisor, I would probably be running the country because that's been my experience. You're too sexist and dumb. Feel the Johnson. Monkey would be better. You are a sexist. What would be a sexist? What would be, for those of you who think I'm sexist, what would be something that you think, and watch what I'm doing here, those of you who are interested in persuasion, watch what happens here. Name something you think that I think, if you think I'm a sexist, just put in one sentence something you think that I believe that's different than what you believe. All right? Anybody got anything? Just name one thing you think I believe that's different from what you think you believe if you think I'm a sexist. Saying that women are falling for these. You don't think that both men and women are falling for it? Yeah, see, people get quiet, right? So as soon as I ask you to name one thing you think women should do the cooking. You should date daughters who could be your daughter. I don't think anybody should do anything I want them to do. I think everybody should act like their own person. You think a strong woman makes men weak. I think that there's such a thing as contrast in the world, and that if you put two things together, people will draw conclusions. The whole book, Persuasion, talks about that. So if you were to put, for example, let's say Margaret Thatcher next to Tim Kaine, do you think Tim Kaine would look like a strong leader or a weak leader? And I think in that case he would look like a weak leader because she has a strong, or had a strong persona. So you don't disagree with that point. You just haven't thought it through. talking about you personally. Me personally? Yeah. Well, put it in a sentence that makes sense, and I'll tell you if I disagree with it. You said your bowls would shrink. Well, actually, I was just quoting science. So, are you disagreeing with science, or do you think you're disagreeing with me? Because the science says that when you're on the winning team, even if it's just some sports team you're watching on television, it affects your body chemistry. So, and science is pretty clear about that. When you're in a winning side, your body chemistry improves. And if you're watching a team that looks like not your team win, then you don't get that. In fact, you might get the opposite. So it's not sexist to agree with science, is it? Trump Jr. running in the future? Not if I don't know. It's going to be hard if his dad goes down this way, because you realize there's going to be the same accusations against Junior as there are against Senior. Clintons are criminals. CIS naming. What is CIS? You think I'm mad? Trust me, you haven't seen Mad yet. Not that you will. If you ever see Mad, a lot of things are going to change in this country. I'm very persuasive. You don't want to see me mad. Oh, cisgendered. Psychology isn't science. What would make you mad? What would make me mad? I think injustice to someone I cared about would make me mad. That's why when I was battling about assisted dying, and after watching my parents go through that, then I was mad. But you notice that the law changed immediately after I got mad. Coincidence? You decide. State taxes. It's hard to get that mad over taxes. Am I okay to transferring power to a woman? Sure. Why not? If they do a good job. You need coffee. Get your coffee. Double Parkers. Do I think Hillary's qualified? Nobody's ever been president before. I think they're all unqualified. I think everyone who's ever run for a first term is unqualified. Yeah, we won't be doing any privates. Get mad about marijuana? Yeah, but I think the federal government is sort of closing its eyes about that. Losing your country should make you mad? Well, if I thought that was going to happen. Bring back the 90s. Yeah. Closest you can get to being qualified to president? I think if you were both a governor and a senator, that would be pretty good. So Pence has done that, right? I said the 4 years of Clinton would be worse in history. Why did I say that? Bring back Bill. Hillary's qualifications are all failures. Yeah. What I mean by she's not on my team? Well, Clinton is more pro-woman, than she is pro-citizen. Trump was the, hey, we're all Americans team. And Clinton has been the, hey, elect me because I'm a woman. Women listen better. So I would say that's sexist and doesn't sound like I'm on her team. She did say that women listen better. You can see some of the links to her quotes on that in my blog somewhere. She defends women from Trump's attacks. What about character? We should just. The problem with using character as a way to pick a president is that we can find out way too much about people now because of hot mics and people narking on them and things that are discovered in their communications and such. That there won't be any nice people running for president anymore. At least none of them will look nice by the time the media is done with them. Yeah, maybe Trump had more trouble because she's a woman. It did allow her to do the sexual allegations without having him do the same thing back to her. When I realize I'm being influenced, it depends on the situation. Yeah, but nobody cares if Hillary cheated, because she'd be cheating on a cheater. Nobody cares. Do you believe the women? We talked about that before. I believe that some of them are lying or exaggerating, but it's unlikely that the rest are. They might all believe it, but it doesn't mean it's true. In other words, they might believe what they're saying, but it doesn't mean they're not hallucinating all of it. I just don't know. I wasn't there. Kellyanne Conway, the unhappiest woman in America right now, because her reputation just got tied up with the worst possible scandal. What's your system that still makes you win after Trump loses? Well, you may remember that when I started blogging about Trump, I had 15,000 Twitter followers, and now I have 80-something thousand. My traffic on my blog has gone through the roof, and I've successfully transitioned from someone who's taken seriously about nothing, except maybe business humor, to someone who's being taken seriously about world events. Now, there's probably a number of ways to monetize that, and so the sign of a good system is that there's more than one way to win. So what I've done is a system I call, practicing in public, meaning that what I've done has all been public. I'm tweeting and I'm blogging, and because I do a lot of it, I can A/B test and figure out what works and what doesn't until I get better at it. Since there was no downside, if I wrote bad blog posts or bad tweets, it probably wouldn't make any difference. But if I wrote good ones, there was lots of ways that could be that could be good. If we get proof that one of the groped people is lying, that will just mean one of them is lying. If I were to advise Trump, what would you tell him? That's a good question. If I were going to advise Trump right now, I think I would go probably the Arnold Schwarzenegger route. So when Schwarzenegger was accused of kind of similar things, and there were a number of people, and it all sounded gropey, he said something like, the Hollywood world, I'm paraphrasing, but basically the Hollywood world had different standards. He's sorry, won't do it again. I think Trump could make a similar case. I think, but at this point he's already committed to saying they're all liars. So there's no way, there's no place you could go from that. If he had started early and said, there's going to be not only, here's what I'd say. I would say you should believe about half of what you hear, but you won't know which half is true. All right? I'm not going to say they're all liars, but some of them are. And I don't believe you to believe me, because it's one of those situations where you just never believe everything that you hear. And then you say, but the ones that are true, if you find them offensive, I apologize. I have probably been too aggressive than was appropriate. Sometimes it's hard to know where the line is. Because remember that when you're a celebrity, everybody flirts with you all the time. I was saying this yesterday. So even the women who he allegedly made advances at, except for the ones that allegedly didn't even know he was in the room and suddenly got felt up, that's a different situation. But the ones who, the ones who were spending time with him were probably flirting. But the trouble is that flirting with a celebrity looks like you're flirting for sex. They look very similar. So he probably thought he was getting the green light on a lot of these cases where the women were not giving him the green light. They were using their sexuality, probably, to advance their careers or to have a good time and get a good story with a famous person, that sort of thing. Now, that doesn't count somebody you just met and, complete stranger he's feeling up, or whether any of those things happened, I don't know. But some of them, at least, probably put off flirty vibes that he misinterpreted. I'm sure that that's true. So I'd make that case. I'd say, some of these just didn't happen, but in my world, people do act more flirty because of my celebrity. And he could just say, if I've misinterpreted that, and I know I have, I'm deeply sorry for that. You don't really know, do you? Trump has tarnished his brand, yes. I just had some dried skin on my nose, and I picked it off, and it bled. That's all. Yeah, the nose is bad persuasion. Is that better? How about that? I have to make this look like it's natural. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Is that better? Stefan debunked all the sexual claims. He couldn't have possibly debunked them all. He really changed after the BBC. Put some makeup on it. I thought about it. It's actually just a scab. It'll probably fall off today. Both sides are tainted. Yeah, they're pretty tainted. Oh, I'm allergic to this. I don't think it matters how well anybody debunks this stuff, because people are going to believe it. Now I'm back to California. How can he debunk all of those women? That just wouldn't. You can't say something didn't happen. Yeah, maybe I'll go look at that video, but I'm gonna. Is Farage advising? I don't know. It's an hour long. Okay. All right, I'm going to go make some comics, be productive. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for spending this much time with me. Bye.